Dana Loesch here with you. Top of this, actually bottom of this third hour. You can listen coast to coast. We're in all your states. We're in all your radios. We're in all your computers. You can find us channel 347 on DirecTV, as well as Rumble and X and, all the places. Make sure you go find us at Substack, Chapter and Verse, because I got a lot of good stuff that's coming out there. Some stuff that came out already last night, and some stuff coming out later today as well. I told y'all before, and if you've listened to the program for any length of time, I cover the news and we make fun of absurdity and we get into a whole bunch of stuff. And I try not to stay too much in the weeds because I would rather yeet myself off my rooftop, break my legs off into nubbins than to have to spend an inordinate amount of time in the weeds on inter-party fighting. But the issue with this whole Senate majority race is that whoever gets the leadership position, this cat's got to be directing the Supreme Court confirmations. They're setting the Senate calendar. They're using procedure, parliamentary procedure, and more in order to get this, the agenda, that this mandate that was given last week put into effect. And as I've said before, I don't trust any of the three horsemen that have been suggested. I mean, I don't like any of them. I'm not friends with any of them. I don't get no Christmas cards. Nobody likes me. They all pretend to walk the other way when they see me. We ain't friends. One of them in particular, because it's a little personal for me after Parkland, because I remember being on stage and arguing with bad cop Scott Israel as you had the governor getting ready to sign away gun rights, and right after one senator crumbled on stage and compromised on red flag and universal background checks, aka a national registry. And just like I said, you're either for the Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, and Fifth Amendment, or you're not. You can't be a little pregnant. You can't be a little in support of natural rights. You either are or you're not. Let's just be honest about it and stop BSing with the language. I can't stand the idiocracy of discourse in American politics. So to that effect, I have a little bit more of a personal problem with Scott as a result of that. And he apparently can't also spend money. When he was running the NRSC back in 2022, you walk in there with almost $182 million and you blow it all like Hunter Biden with hookers and blow on consultancy and self-promotion and everything else, and you walk away with $23 million cash on hand. What in the world? You expect a guy like that to shepherd Supreme Court nominees through? I don't. But what gets me is that we're told to suck it up. And I don't like that. And I feel like gun owners particularly, so many, and we're going to talk to one of my friends about this in just a second, so many hunters were not registered to vote this last election. And I feel like those who went out and registered and they showed up and they gave the authority with the consent of their vote deserve more. And they should be able to ask for more. They should be able to demand better. So why can't they? Joining me right now, my friend Luis Valdes, who's the Florida State Director for Gun Owners of America. And you can find him on X at Real FL Gun Lobby. And they've been, y'all have been, and Luis, so good to see you again, my friend. And we got to have you back more often. You guys have been, pretty vocal about this as well. And I get it that, for some of these lawmakers out there, they have to maintain goodwill because they got to work with these people. So they can't go and be as maybe critical as like you or I or some of these other folks that can. But I kind of wanted to get your insight. Why can't we have, from your perspective, a Mike Lee or a Rand Paul? Why is it always like the same people that are promoted that have never done anything for us?
As someone who personally also fought the issue here in Parkland and with Governor Scott, remember, I was the only cop in Florida to publicly speak during the state Senate committee hearings when the bill was going through. Yes, so I know exactly the fight.
Can I just pause you right there? Luis Valdes, he knows this better than most people. So he was right there in the thick of it. I got to underscore that.
Yeah, I know the anger. I know the frustration you're going through because I've been in the fight just as you have. And the issue that we have is we have a political establishment in D.C. that they want to hold and maintain power. And remember, you have a lot of people in office, both on the state and the national level, that they want to be the opposition party. They want to be the minority party because if they could promise the moon and produce nothing, then all they get to do is keep raising money. As you said, one of them was in charge of the Republican National Committee in the Senate for raising funds, for raising campaign donations for other Senate races. And that, if you control those purse strings, you control who gets on what committee assignment, on what bills get heard, and so on and so forth. But the issue comes down to this. All three are bad choices. We, the people, have voted and we've set a clear mandate to Washington, D.C., that we don't want political party hacks. We don't want middle-of-the-road gun grabbers. We want Second Amendment patriots. And this position, the Senate Majority Leader's position, is extremely important because you said it best, and I've said it best, and GOA has said it best. The Senate and the White House controls judicial appointments, and that is where we're winning the fight right now for the Second Amendment. Every victory within the last couple of years hasn't, for the most part, has not been legislative. It has been judicial on the federal level. And this is of vital importance, and all three are bad picks. Now, sadly, it looks like one of the three are going to be chosen. And what we could do is we could put pressure and make sure that they will not get our support unless they turn the page, they turn the cheek, and they tell us and they show us through action, because actions speak louder than words, that they are better than what they were before.
Yeah. I mean, it's so frustrating because, everybody waited for so long. It's like the longest election cycle ever. And everyone's like, we did it. We did it. And then immediately the next week, you get the illusion of choice from the establishment. We're talking to our friend Luis Valdes with Gun Owners of America. He's the Florida state director there. And he remembers I remember you were like the only guy in law enforcement who was speaking out at that time. I distinctly remember that. And I get that. And what you said was so incredibly important, the judicial fight and at the federal level, because it hasn't been, it hasn't been a legislative thing that we've seen push. Now, Trump came out and said that he wants to sign national reciprocity. I've never heard a Republican president say that. I've never heard a president-elect or a previous president ever say that, Luis. But when I look at who they're promoting, to be running Senate, I just don't trust any of those cats to shepherd that through. I would imagine something like that would make it through the House, but that there's more. The Senate has more of a rhino makeup than even the House does. And I am very concerned that it would be killed in the crib in there.
We saw this back during his first term. National reciprocity passed the House. It went to the Senate. Mitch McConnell refused to bring it up for a vote. And of course, the whole thing was, we need 60 votes. It's cloture, the rules. Look, nothing says you can't attach it as a must-pass legislation as an amendment. The Democrats do it all the time. Why can't Republicans? And we need strong leadership in the Senate to do that. Because if not, it's not going to reach Trump's desk.
I just feel like it's that close. Like, if it doesn't happen this time, depending on what happens with midterms, I just feel like we're running out of chances to get something like that passed. Am I being too much of a fatalist with that? Or is that kind of like maybe what you're reading too?
No, I think you're hitting the nail straight on the head. We have a 2-year window, really in reality, a 1.5-year window to get things done legislatively in Congress, especially if we get control of the House, because you're going to have the midterm elections. And on top of that, it's just the way things are. Traditionally speaking, when you have the midterm elections, whatever president is in office, that party loses some seats come the midterm election. So we have about a year and a half window to get things done. And now is the time to strike while the iron is hot. Republicans have constantly campaigned that they're pro-gun. They constantly promise us that they're pro-gun. Well, actions speak louder than words. They need to put their money where their mouth is.
Amen to that. Luis Valdes is with Gun Owners of America. Luis, who would you, if you got to pick, like if they said, Luis, you and Gun Owners of America, you get to put who you want as Senate Majority Leader. How do you want to handle this? What would you do?
Man, that's a very good question. There's a couple of good people in the Senate. You have Thomas Massey, for example. You have Rand Paul. You have Mike Lee. I mean, there's such a good cadre of Second Amendment patriots there. And the reason why they're not on the front runner as front runners right now, it makes me scratch my head. It makes me go, why is this? And of course, it always comes down to, as you've said it and as I've said it, it comes down to money, because they're actually putting their money where their mouth is. They're not spending time doing campaign donations and doing backroom deals and smoke film rooms. They're actually fighting for their constituents' rights. They're fighting to overturn the gargantuan advance that is called this oppressive government.
Yeah.
Instead of
let me ask
being
you this
elitist.
too. What do you make of this argument that I hear from some of the more moderate Republicans or moderate whatever on the right, And they say, well, you need to have somebody who's a little bit more middle of the road for consensus. But Luis, haven't we always had somebody who's middle of the road to try to engender some sort of consensus? How's that been working out for us thus far?
Let's see. We had machine guns banned in '86. We had foreign firearms imported banned in '89. You had machine guns parts kits banned in the early 2000s. You've had the bipartisan background check bill pushed through. Last I checked, being middle of the road doesn't get us anywhere. All it does is it's another slice of the cake taken away from us. Enough of this. I want the whole cake back. Being middle of the road, being centrist does nothing except we just get smaller slices of our rights taken away from us, but we still have rights taken away from us. Enough. Enough is enough.
That's it. See, Luis just said it. We want the cake back. We want it all. We want it all back right now. Well, we're going to be watching this. They got a secret ballot Wednesday. So we're going to see, basically we're just all debating on how we're going to get screwed over. That's kind of what this is coming up on Wednesday. We're going to see, and may have to have you back right after that. But I know we're going to be talking with you again, too, Luis, as all this gets underway. As always, appreciate what you do. Appreciate Gun Owners of America as well. Take care, my friend. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, and keep on being that shining beacon of liberty on the air.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you.